Well. Here we are again with some lesser news this time. Guys, welcome in. This is Club Dub. Hopefully, you guys are following us now. We found a way to access our Twitter page now. So go ahead and toss us a follow. Club Dub Podcast, presented by sportsmockery.com. Wish we were coming to you with better news, but all watched that game yesterday. I'm assuming all 70 of you watching right now, including us, are just as disappointed. And I think just flat out, we're done. We're going to get into it. We're going to have a vent session here, but I think a lot of us we've seen what we needed to see now, and we're really going to get into it. This is the beginning of the end for Matt Nagy.
There's no question. I mean, this isn't something that just popped up in the past couple of weeks, months. This is something I said has been building since that flop he had in 2019 in the 2019 opener against Green Bay. That was the first indication that something's going on, that the NFL had maybe caught up to what Matt Nagy was doing. And the fact that he hasn't had near the success he did in 2018 since then, despite having, still having Mitch Trubisky, who played well that year, then having Nick Foles, former Super Bowl MVP, and then he gets his personal picks of quarterbacks this year, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, the guy he really wanted to trade up for. Dalton gets hurt, and then we see what happens when Fields gets out there. Nagy has been running the same offense with every quarterback he's played. He has not adjusted to any of them in terms of their talent unless he's been forced to. And that's not the mark of a good coach. A good coach has to accent the strengths of his players and hide the weaknesses. With Nagy, it's been proven the opposite. He seems to accent their weaknesses and minimizes their strengths. And we saw the absolute worst of it on Sunday. And, the only thing you can say is, I wish I was surprised.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm not surprised at all, and it was worse than that Rams game.
Oh, 100%.
It was pretty brutal. Look, I said it on my Twitter thread this morning. I actually didn't mind the game plan initially. Look, rollouts, play action, all of that is great for Twitter chatter and, designing a game plan based on what we think. But look, it's Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. These guys are elite edge rushers. They run fast as fuck. Like, they are going to catch Justin Fields. Now, clearly it was to the point where now he's a sitting duck. Your plan to catch him off guard with not rolling him out isn't working. He's getting hit. He's getting sacked. And look, Fields showed some of the struggles that I expected him to show as a first-time starter, rookie, things that I thought he'd have to work on in the NFL. He showed that in the game yesterday a little bit. So, yeah, I expected an adjustment. I expected screens. I mean, forget the moving pocket. I don't care about the moving pocket. Screens, a running back screen. Look at what the Browns did with Baker Mayfield and Kareem Hunt as soon as it was clear that Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack were going to eat him alive. They went to the screen game, and guess what? It gashed the Bears defense. And to be fair to them, they had been on the field on a 2-to-1 ratio. So they were tired. I get it. But look, some sort of adjustment would have been nice. Like I said, I didn't mind the game plan initially. It got terrible towards the end. And look, Fields is not Trubisky in the sense that Trubisky never was and never will be a pocket passer. Fields is a pocket passer. But in the NFL, he may not be a pocket passer right now. And so what Nagy needed to do was figure out a way to help him out a little bit, and he didn't really do that.
He did far from that. I mean, he made this game. This statistic down below should not be possible in modern day football. Yeah. Look at that stat: 1 yard per fucking play, dude. I'll be honest. I bet any coach in the country, collegiate, high school, rookie ball, could have coached a better game than that last night. I don't care how good Myles Garrett is. I know he's great. He's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. 1 yard per play? Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
Justin Tucker's game-winning field goal was longer than the Bears' total net output on offense. Yeah. I mean, just ridiculous.
You have to try really hard to do something like that.
You seriously have to be trying. I mean, how do you get 1 yard per play? You know the play that really ticked me off the most, and this was brought up on a lot of sports radio shows this morning. I really wasn't paying attention because I was watching the end of the first half, and I was like, okay, well, at least they're only down by a touchdown. Okay, miracle here, 10-3. This is every Bears game ever. Maybe they'll have a chance to come back in the second half. You know what Matt Nagy does? He runs David Montgomery to run out the clock on the 10-yard line. instead of taking a knee. You know why he did that? Because he wants to pad his running stats because he's tired of people telling he doesn't run the ball enough. Either take a knee or take a shot. Why are you running the ball to get no yards whatsoever when you weren't running the ball all half, but you decide to put Montgomery in a situation where, A, he might get hurt instead of just taking a knee? Come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just these little things. Like, he's backwards on everything that he does. It's the beginning of the end.
The thing that stood out the
really is.
most with him in terms of what he did to Justin was he didn't give the offensive line help. I mean, it was clear they were struggling, especially the tackles of Fetty and Peters. They were getting abused by Clowney and Garrett. And where were the chips? Where were the tight ends staying in to block with them? Where were the running backs helping out? There was none of that. It was 5-man protections almost all game long. It's no wonder Fields was running for his life because he knew he wasn't going to get the protection he needs. You can't blame the guy for getting a little shell shock towards the end of the game. So, he made some mistakes. Yeah, he missed some opportunities, but there weren't a lot of them because the receivers weren't really getting open either. It was just a complete fail in terms of the coaches on down. Fields never had a chance.
Who was the knucklehead that told me Jermaine Ifedi was going to be a Pro Bowler this year at right tackle? because Juan Castillo is the god of offensive line coaches. Dude, get out of here with that. Jermaine Ifedi might be one of the worst tackles in football. He was terrible yesterday. He was terrible. He's been terrible through 3 weeks. Another 3rd and 1 false start completely kills the drive. 3rd and 1 versus 3rd and 6 for this offense is like 3rd and 20 for Mahomes versus 3rd and 10. Like, it's crazy the difference. It's unreal. It just completely killed the drive. And he did it, I think, once or twice yesterday.
Can I ask you guys something?
Sure.
The Bears had 4 tight ends active yesterday. 4 tight ends active. What the fuck do they do?
Blocked and pretty much nothing else.
Cole Kmet got beat on almost every block. He was bad. He was real bad.
Terrible. I just look, Cole Kmet, promising player on paper, and I'm not going to put out. It's hard to say, right? But I mean, he seems slow. At times, he seems weak at the point of attack. I don't know, but look, the Bears have 4 tight ends, and they don't contribute anything. And look, tight end's supposed to be a big part of the offense in every NFL offense today. I mean, and it's just there's nothing. I mean, Jimmy Graham. Yes, I usually don't get frustrated. I mean, I think you guys, we've done several shows like this. I usually am, more of the devil's advocate type of guy. I don't have a defense for yesterday. And look, I'm not going to put everything on Nagy or offensive line, whatever. Like, systemic failure on all fronts. And the good news is in theory, it can't get worse. But who knows?
No, it can't. Look, they're dead last in total offense. I mean, if you go down and look at the statistics, they're dead last in total offense, 31st in total points. They're right on par for where they were last year and the year before that.
And don't forget, they were flirting with dead last year before Nagy gave up the play calling to Bill Lazor, and he was able to elevate it enough to make it at least look a little presentable. So this has been something that's been absolutely terrible for a while now, and we're just seeing it again since Matt Nagy retook play calling duties. Something everybody knew was a mistake at the time, but he didn't care. He wanted to seize back control because he felt the problem was fixed when they changed up the quarterback situation. And he's learning that that's not really the case.
We have too many egos in this town at our head coaching positions, man. I'm serious. Like, look what the Bulls finally have a guy who knows what he's doing, and I've never been more excited for a Bulls basketball season. They got rid of a guy with a huge ego who had no fucking idea what he was doing. And now look at them. They're actually a competent team, and a bunch of guys wanted to go play there. You think anybody wants to come play for Matt Nagy? You think Allen Robinson is sticking around to play in this offense next year? No shot. No. Allen Robinson had like 3 catches yesterday and barely any more targets than that. He had like 2.9. He had 29 yards.
And he had to fight for every single. He had to fight for every single one. It was
when your offense is struggling. He should have been the guy you're looking at. And again, this is not Nagy is much more to blame here than Fields, but Fields sucked yesterday too. We're just going to throw it out there. But again, it was his first game against a Super Bowl hopeful team. Let's not forget that. Let's not get that lost in the fact that we're angry, and a lot of people are angry here. The Browns are a really, really good team. That linebacker that Dave was talking about that we had on the show earlier, I don't know how to pronounce his Otachu. How do you
Yeah,
pronounce? He
the
was
hyphenated last name.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was flying around yesterday.
I was telling people before the draft, I'd have been fine if the Bears took him at 20.
He looked great.
He's good.
Yeah, he's very good. And look, I want to believe that. Yeah, yesterday was his first start, and I know we're going to get into a lot more Nagy and play calling and everything. But look, yesterday was Fields' first start. He did not look overwhelmed by the moment. He looked overwhelmed by the pressure and situation. And I do think that, and I mentioned this before, some of his challenges did show up, and there's several examples flowing, spinning around on Twitter right now. Matt Bowen pointed out one where it was a zone read or an RPO, and he had Darnell Mooney available right away. It was a small window. I mean, the line didn't hold up, but look, you got to see it and throw it, and that's something that he has not done. Even in college, he didn't do very much. So it's something. Forget this game. Forget this season. For whoever the next head coach is, that's something he needs to develop quickly in order to take the next step and be an excellent NFL quarterback. But look, can you guys hear me? By the way, I'm seeing.
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay. That's something he's got to improve as his career progresses. But man, in the meantime, like in order to field something more professional on Sunday against the Lions, like look, they cannot lose to the Lions at home. You cannot lose to the Lions at home. Again, you shouldn't have been able to lose last year, but that was with Matthew.
Lions are gritty, man. They got screwed yesterday too. That Justin Tucker kick should not have counted. I went back and watched that. That should have been a 71-yard kick and a false start or a delay of game penalty. I'll be honest. I think the Bears will beat the Lions on Sunday. But if they don't, heads are going to roll. This Lions team is not good. They have their best corners out for the year in Jeff Okudah. They have I'll be honest, I couldn't name two guys on that defense. But they're gritty on offense, and I'll be honest, Jared Goff and Quintez Cephas and Hawkinson looks great. This is not going to be an easy win like we thought, because Fields is probably going to have to start, which I'll be honest, I want to see him start. I want to continue to see him go through the motions and get better. But the way he played yesterday, I mean, man, we can't expect him to go out and win that game. They're going to have to win the game on their front seven of their defense again.
They've got to put up more than 6 points. I mean, that's first of all. They got to possess the ball longer. They have to do more professional offense things, and that starts everywhere. And like, I mean, it was such an unprofessional performance that, I mean, we use the term "burn the tape" a lot, but I feel like we've used that a lot in the last several years here in Chicago. It's a burn the tape performance, and they just I wish I could verbalize this in another way, but they just have to be more professional. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, I was digging through the stats, and since Matt Nagy took over in 2018, he's had 9 instances where his offense has failed to crack 250 total yards for a game. In this day and age, that is very hard to do, especially considering he's probably had more talent than previous head coaches have had, which makes it even more damning when you think about it. So we've all seen it at this point for 3 years now, and it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. And we all knew this was probably coming the moment George McCaskey said, "I'm keeping this guy as the head coach." So you wish you were surprised. Nobody is. They're just infuriated because they have to live through it again.
Look at this play from Myles Garrett yesterday. This was probably the best play of the game, and it came towards the end. This is a good reminder for us to keep in mind. Cleveland is very, very good. Okay, they are a much better football team. The Bears were in it in the first half because of Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. But this play is just a reminder of what Fields had to go up against in his first NFL start.
They're coming. Fields is in trouble. Racing away, and he's sacked again. Myles Garrett. A career day. Living in the backfield. 4.5 sacks.
Jason Peters, man.
Did you see Myles Garrett fly over Jason Peters and then catch Fields like it was nothing?
Yep.
I mean, that was just
that good.
Was a freak play. He caught him like it was nothing. Fields is fast, and Myles Garrett just, I don't know what his 40 time is, but that was a ridiculous play. And just a reminder for us of how good he is and how he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. ESPN was also not having it this morning.
Can I have the camera? I'm going to do a personal camera. Can I get the camera?
Go ahead.
Okay. The Chicago Bears should fire Matt Nagy today.
Dang.
Because yesterday's game plan, which was the worst one I've ever seen in my life, was either negligence or intentional. It's been 149 days since the Bears drafted Justin Fields. You had 149 days to start to build a game plan around the skill set of this young man, and it was an embarrassment. Justin Fields threw the ball 20 times yesterday. 13 times they went with 5-man protection with no help for their offensive line. 13 out of 20. Yesterday you showed us that you are incapable of designing the proper game plan around a dynamic quarterback, or you showed us that it was intentional, that you wanted him to fail, and you set him up to be a disaster.
Can I say something real simple?
I hope he will. ...
I told you so. I told you so 3 years ago. You're wasting a championship level defense. Maybe not a championship, but a good defense. And this guy right here has no creative thing. Look, I'm a dumb defensive coach, right? I'm so dumb, I would drop back 21 times, 30 dropbacks in this game. 21 times I'm going to go 5-man protection. Mm-hmm. Are you out of your mind? I wouldn't do that with Tom Brady. This is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I've said it from day one when we said, remember, I loved Mitchell Trubisky because I said, hey, Mitchell Vick, I liked him. Well, you never gave him a dang chance. You won Coach of the Year right in the back of that kid, and then you threw his ass away. Now you also got Nick Foles. Great job, great pickup. You picked up a guy that's proven not to be an NFL starter in this league. Now here's your decision. The great decision. You drafted a guy with unbelievable ability, and you're going to go out there and get him killed. Yeah. I don't get it.
Do you want to watch the same horror twice?
Yeah.
The same horror film twice. We watched this with Mitchell Trubisky. Mm-hmm. And we, as an organization, as an ownership, and Ryan Pace, the general manager, you go, we're going to trust you. That's the guy that you want. We'll go get him. And you roll him out and do that?
Yeah.
You move the pocket once in the first half. One time.
Middle of the second quarter, though.
One time.
It took to the middle of the second quarter.
One time. You don't design routes. You ran the same third down situation. 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 7. You ran the same play twice. The same play twice. You're getting paid for that. That's what you build with the game plan that you have. From the moment you drafted Justin Fields, you should have been designing all these game plans. So when he gets on the field, you unleash him. And it's a Colin Kaepernick type situation where we've
never seen it before.
Never seen it before.
Yeah.
But you're dropping back and you're going, we can block this defensive 5-man protection. Don't tell me he's not ready. It's your freaking job to get him ready to play. And you figure out the things he can't do, and you don't do it.
You know, I just love.
Woo! Love it.
I don't watch Get Up. I think ESPN's been pretty poor over their decision making and hiring ex-coaches and players and their personnel decisions. And I'm not a huge fan. But Rex Ryan's right on the money, man. He's right on the money. Dan Orlovsky played on the 0-16 Lions, and he said that's the worst performance he's ever seen. Oh, boy. That 0-16 Lions team was the worst team in NFL history, one of. This Bears offense is going to be one of the worst offenses in NFL history if Matt Nagy continues to call plays, and I think we that's obvious. And they were right on the nose with everything they said.
Mm-hmm.
Just one thing. Not going to bash Mitch, but I'm seeing a lot of apologists on Twitter today.
Yeah, whatever.
And these theatrics, I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, yeah, look, fire Nagy. I don't care. Like, whatever. You can. That's separate. Trubisky has shown he's not an NFL quarterback, cannot process from the pocket, blah, blah, blah. It's been 4 years. Can we please drop that? Can we please drop that?
I don't know. Look at that smile.
I love Mitch. I mean, like, look, I hope he's great. I hope he makes millions of dollars as a backup. But let's calm with the
we got to relax.
That whole Ryan Clark apology thing. Come on.
No, you know, whatever. We're not gonna talk about Mitch.
Let's move on. Yeah, that's fine.
We moved on from him 2 weeks ago. I get it. That's what people are going to point to. And Matt Nagy's ruined a bunch of quarterbacks and whatever. I mean, Fields was sacked 9 times yesterday. A stat I'll leave you with before we start talking about the positive of this team. Justin Fields, by far the most sacked quarterback in the NFL to start the year. He's pressured and sacked on 31% of his dropbacks. 31% and minimum one game. Ryan Fitzpatrick second, and Zach Wilson is third, I believe. But Ryan Fitzpatrick second at only about 16.5%. Fields is about 31.5%. Just to put that out there and how poor Effetti and Peters were yesterday. Again, I still think Jason Peters is great. We praised him in the show last week. I still think he's great. He had a really, really tough matchup. To no fault of his own, he's 39 going up against the best defensive edge rusher in the league. So, again, that's on Nagy. But Fields has to play better. He was bad. He's a rookie quarterback. Josh Allen was terrible his rookie year, and look at him now. So we gotta express some patience, which is why I made that picture and I tweeted it out before we started because it's true. It's true.
Look,
we need to not overreact. Justin, I think he's going to be fine, but he needs a better head coach. And with that, I think I don't know. Final thoughts before we talk about the positives.
I do have one about Nagy's press conference today, but let's talk about that's looking forward. Let's talk about.
You mean how he talked about 2018 and goes like, we need to get that morale back.
No. It
was 4 years ago.
More about
that morale back. Anyway.
Yeah, it was more about his discussion about what everything's on the table. I have some thoughts, but we'll get there.
Says that every press
so
conference.
done.
What does everything on the table mean? He says that every press conference. Everything on the table, meaning maybe he'll resign.
I'll say this. Look, last time, this is last year, whenever he said, we're evaluating the whys and all that other bullshit, he never explicitly said everything's on the table until it literally was everything on the table, including play calling, and that was the week he gave it up. So we'll see. And
I don't think he goes public with it if he says it, though. I think he'll keep it in-house.
He'll probably keep it in-house. Yeah. And he did that last year too. Like it's something, we'll know, and you guys will not share that publicly. He's not going to fire himself publicly again. No, but look,
it's NFL suicide. He'll never be a play caller again in this league.
And probably not. But at the same time, look, but here we maybe get into the discussion about separating the play caller from the head coach. If he gives up play calling to Bill Lazor, to Tom Herman, whoever, and they look good, they go out and beat Detroit and they score 30 points, and then they go to Las Vegas and they score 27 points and win. Look, I mean, now what do you do, right? I mean, we're gonna be in this cycle again. Anyway, but we'll see. I mean, look, at the end of the day, next week is more of a referendum, in my opinion, than anything else. This week, yes, it was unacceptably bad, but it was 1 week running into a buzzsaw in Cleveland, who had much to prove, by the way. Remember, those edge rushers had not been getting home. They had been playing poorly as far as defense goes. They got ripped up by Tyrod Taylor. They had things to prove themselves.
Yeah, think about that. Think about what you just said.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like they probably felt
they got
embarrassed.
beat. The Texans.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor.
Right.
Had an offensive performance that blew Justin Fields and the Bears offense.
Right.
They weren't even in the same stratosphere. The Houston Texans.
Right.
Who have Mark Ingram as their starting running back. Brandon Cooks is great. I don't even know who their tight ends are. They have Anthony freaking Miller. They're bad. Their offensive line stinks, and they still torch Cleveland.
You'd probably prefer their tackles. You got a Pro Bowler on one side and a pretty decent guy on the other, so they're not as bad as you might think.
Maybe not. I don't know, but the Texans.
Could have used him yesterday and say that.
Oh, yeah.
Bears front seven look great. We said this at the beginning. This is the strength of their team. I mean, Robert Quinn, I'm going to get to that. That's going to be my final take. I owe him an apology. He has really come on strong and turned a lot of heads. 2 sacks yesterday, 3 on the year now, 3.5 on the year. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic and great to see. Him and Mack were really getting home and playing great. Angelo Blackson played a little bit yesterday. He looked
Mario
good.
Edwards Jr.
What?
Mario Edwards Jr. as well.
Oh, yeah. He had a sack, too. The Bears defense, the front seven looks great, man. Roquan, again, another nice game. He blamed himself for that touchdown early on to Austin Hooper. But I think that was just a really great throw from Mayfield. Great recognition and just an absolute dart over the middle, which we've become accustomed to seeing from him. And Hooper's a great red zone target, has been for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I saw the end zone angle, or I guess behind the center end zone angle. The Bears rotated into a too high right at the snap, and Hooper just split the defense. Roquan passed him off, and Jackson was too late getting over. It was perfect timing, great throw, great everything. But yeah, I mean, it just sucks. It was right at the end of the half, but it was a great play, and sometimes just great players make great plays.
Yeah. No, their front seven's great. Bilal Nichols, I don't know if he really showed up on the stat sheet a lot yesterday, but he played well. Their run defense, man, was great. Held Nick Chubb to under 100 yards. You know, Nick Chubb averages 10 yards a carry in the fourth quarter. And
oh, my God.
I had no idea. I heard that stat on the radio, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer on WBBM. 10 yards a carry in the fourth quarter. The Bears defense owned Nick Chubb yesterday. Kareem Hunt, that's a different story. He got caught in a couple screens, and Eddie Jackson missed a huge tackle that went for that 40 or 50-yard touchdown. But those guys are really, really good. And the Bears' run defense was outstanding yesterday, all things considered. And then also special teams. Pat O'Donnell. I don't think we're going to talk a lot about that. You know, we're getting towards the end of the show here, but he was great.
And so is Santos. I mean, he hasn't missed a field goal since October of last year, September of last year. So he's been automatic ever since he pretty much got here. Special teams has looked more than fine. And, you know, you got to give a shout out to Kairos Tonga. He was thrown into a really tough situation at nose tackle with Eddie Goldman out again. I believe he had like 5 stops for no gain or a loss, you know, in his third game ever against a really good center in J.C. Treader and some good guards. You know, I think he played pretty well, all things considered, for a 7th-round rookie. So they might have something there as well. Travis Gibson had 2 pressures in 8 pass rush snaps and the pass deflection as well. He played well when he finally got a shot. So they have a ton of depth up front, and that's going to serve them well moving forward. It's just a question of, can they get some things figured out in the secondary?
Sure is. And I think Kindle Vildor had a rough game yesterday a little bit, brought back down to earth a little bit. I mean, he had been solid the first couple of weeks, but Jalen Johnson, I thought overall played very well against a tough matchup in Odell Beckham, even if he's coming back from an ACL injury. Donovan Peoples-Jones made 2 really incredible catches, which, you know, I thought Duke Shelley, he had a really good tackle, coming downhill to bring up a 4th down early in the game. So I saw some rebound performances by some of the guys who had been more kind of, just blamed for not being very good. Front 7 looks outstanding. I know you're going to get to it, Kevin, but Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack, I mean, that is the devastating duo the Bears envisioned when they signed Quinn last year. And I think it's safe to say that they will take that. They will take that performance absolutely every week. And that is a good Browns offensive line. And that is a great.
They're a little banged up there, but it's still a good line. Like you said, sure. I just don't. The Bears have the pieces to be a good football team, man. Their front 7 dominated yesterday. They played great. They didn't get the turnovers. The secondary is questionable. Eddie Jackson, I think, can play better if you start putting him in high-leverage situations. Hopefully he can come out. I still believe in him somewhat here. I think that he's fine. I still think he'll get his. I think he'll have a couple interceptions this year. I think he'll get to that point. But if special teams is playing the way that it is, and you're pinning guys deep, and you have a punter when you need him in key situations, if they had a play caller and they could put some damn points on the board, this is not a bad football team. But unfortunately, their offense is just taking away from all of that good. The offense is so bad that none of that even matters. And now the questions are coming up like, oh, maybe the Bears should trade Khalil Mack. Maybe they should trade Robert Quinn. I'll be honest, it sounds crazy, but seriously, what's at this point in time? I mean, maybe it's not. If you're going to be piss poor on offense every game, I mean, I don't know if it's worth keeping them.
Look, if the reality is that decision might be made for the Bears in the next couple of weeks. If they lose to Detroit on Sunday, all bets are off. At that point, there is no fathomable recovery point because you have Las Vegas, who looks really good, and you have Green Bay, Tampa, and so in some order. You're looking at an absolutely spiraled season. No point to recovery. Even if you think about, Baltimore not looking that good, Pittsburgh not looking that good, neither do the Bears. So, I mean, you never know. So they have to beat Detroit to kind of get back to that 2-2 mark where we all thought they would be after 4 games. Obviously, looking not as good as you would hope, but at the same time, we won't know until Sunday. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this week that gives us some hope one way or the other. If Nagy comes out on Wednesday and says, we found the whys and we're going to try implementing it and everything's going to stay the same, then I don't know. Like I have no idea.
That's all he's going to say, though.
Yeah. But at the same time, if they're like, yeah, we're going to make some changes and they bench Sam Mustafer and Nagy gives up the play calling and whatever, and they look better and they win, now we're having a different discussion next Sunday potentially. So we'll see.
Eric, what do you think?
Honestly, you never thought this Detroit game would carry as much significance as it does right now, because if you lose, you have no momentum and you're going against three probably playoff teams right in a row, three hot quarterbacks, Carr's playing at an MVP level, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and then you got Brady, who's still playing great at 5,000 years old. So
another 400-yard game for Brady yesterday. If you guys missed it, man, he is magnificent to watch.
Yeah,
he is.
And then you got
good.
The 49ers, who are no slouch. They know how to score, and they still have a pretty decent defense. And then Pittsburgh, they have a pass rush. I'm sure TJ Watt will be back by then, so they'll be able to hunt Justin Fields if they continue to play this style of game plan. So you can easily see this team going 1-8 if they lose to Detroit into the bye week. At that point, you have to presume somebody's getting fired, because there's no way George McCaskey's going to be able to justify bringing guys back after a start like that. So, I presume they're going to play with a lot of urgency against Detroit. Whether it'll be enough, there's no way to know, just because we don't know how the offense is going to perform. But I do think they're going to play hard, and, maybe Detroit will pull off the upset. But, Nagy always finds a way to win games under the gun, like he did last year with that 3-game win streak against bad teams. So he might be able to pull it out this time as well. But honestly, given the way they played on Sunday, I could see it going either way.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you guys. I've watched all the Lions games this year. They're 0-3, but they may have something in Dan Campbell. And I know that it's goofy to say that, but I don't know what it is about him, but this team's ready to play on Sundays. They got absolutely screwed yesterday. Justin Tucker's kick was phenomenal, very cool, but it shouldn't have counted.
Yeah.
It was bullshit. That should not have counted. And I'll take it as a Bears fan. A division loss for the Lions is great, but they've played tight games this year. Let me see. I'm going to pull up their first 3 losses. That comeback against the 49ers, they lost 41-33. That Packers game, they played a great first half, and Rodgers just put on a show in the second half, quite like he did yesterday against the 49ers and coming back to win. But guess what? That Lions team is going to be hungry being 0-3, because you go 0-4. I mean, that's –
and look,
people heads start rolling, and you start looking to next year once you hit 0-4, 0-5. So they're not going to want to get there.
And they'll probably smell blood. Look, they're coming to Soldier Field. It's going to be – people are antsy. Yeah. They're calling for Matt Nagy's head. That team won in Chicago last year. Several players are still here from that game. Look, they have nothing to lose. They're 0-3. They can come here, play loose, and absolutely take advantage of a team that I'm sure is going to press. So, I mean, wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden the Bears are punched in the mouth. They're down 14-3, and it's halftime, and the Bears are like, "The fuck do we do?"
Okay, Timothy Michael. Amen, man. I agree with you on that one. I think that's coming too. I do think that's in the cards at some point here soon. Might be a couple of years, but I think with the new stadium, I think we're going to hear that news here in the next week or so. Once that happens, and once those gears get kicked in, a lot of this has to do with Arlington Heights, and a lot of this has to do with money, and a lot of it has to do, honestly, with guys like Jerry Jones with the Cowboys who want to see their rich friends get in and start buying NFL teams. Jerry Jones wants, Jeff Bezos to own a team in the NFL. He's been so open about that. Bezos may buy the Bears. He could make a lot of money off that. There's a lot of options here that will come for that, and I do think that's not out of the question at this point. And the more they continue to lose and make stupid decisions like this, the more we get to it. All right, it's time for a final take. My apology to Robert Quinn. Listen, if the Bears are going to make the playoffs this year, and which they very well can, they play in a weak division. all things considered. The Vikings won yesterday. The Packers won yesterday, but it's still a winnable division. If the Bears are going to make the playoffs this year, it's going to be because of three guys, really. It'll be because of Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, and Roquan Smith. Yesterday, Robert Quinn surpassed his entire 2020 total of sacks. He had 2 all of last year, was in and out of the lineup, banged up, couldn't get healthy. A lot like Eddie Goldman is now. We're not going to get into that. But if this Bears team is going to be successful, it's going to be in their pass rush. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a great pass rush, but a terrible offensive line, a lot like the Bears. That's a winnable game if you get there. Same with the Raiders. An okay offensive line that's been kind of in and out, winnable game. Lions, they got a Penei Sewell's great. He hasn't allowed a sack in a few years, but you avoid him. The other side of the line isn't that great. All winnable games because of your pass rush. Now, Robert Quinn to start 2021. He's been healthy in 3 games. He's got 4 sacks. He's got 7 combined tackles and 5 solo tackles. Last year, only 20 combined tackles, 14 solo tackles. So not even a third of the way through this year, he already looks like the guy they went out and paid $70 million for. I said Robert Quinn, I was over him a couple weeks ago. I was tired of him not playing well. But that's because I wasn't paying attention. I was so worried about Matt Nagy's offense, and I was like, oh, wow, they're giving up big plays on the secondary side of the ball. That wasn't Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn was getting to the ball during those weeks, and he sure as hell got to the ball on Sunday and kept the Bears in it in that first half. It's just a shame he's a little bit older, and you can't expect him and Mac to carry an entire offense that's that piss poor. It's not going to happen. But if the Bears want to make the playoffs, Robert Quinn is going to have a huge thing to do with it, and I'm very sorry for calling him out because, truth be told, he was a great addition. He looks the part. Let's hope that continues.
Well said. Well said.
Let's hope that continues. All right, guys. Got any questions here? We'll take a couple if you guys have them. Again, welcome in Club Dub Podcast presented by SportsMockery.com. We will take a couple of your questions now if you have any. There's a couple up here. Let me see. Should we be shocked? No. And there's your answer. I think we all know we shouldn't be shocked. Eric, you said it best, man. Why would we? Why would we be? Let's see.
Oof. Man, when you can boil down an answer to that, painful.
This isn't a question, but Brian Daboll, next head coach?
Look, I like Brian Daboll. I just want to say one thing.
Is it Daboll or Dabble?
Daboll, I think.
Okay, I'm not sure. I want to make sure I have it right. I want to make sure I get our 2022 head coach name right.
Look, I'm just going to say,
wrong of me.
He was the offensive coordinator for the 2018 Bills who sucked. And yes, he did good work with Josh Allen, had an absolutely insane year last year. Had a little bit of a hiccup to start this year. Looks like they're probably a little bit back on track. But look, he's another one who's had, to jump around a little bit. He's had an unsuccessful history before, this little stint here in Buffalo the last couple of years. So there's always, some concern, like, what did he just figure it out? What happened? We'll see. I mean, but so far, honestly, he looks like a good candidate. There's something to keep in mind there.
I think Daboll's probably going to be one of the hot candidates, obviously because of what he did with Josh Allen. I think the other one you're going to want to watch is Joe Brady in Carolina. I mean, what he's been able to do with Sam Darnold so far, considering what Adam Gase did to that poor kid in New York, it's been pretty impressive. You go all the way back to LSU in 2019. It was a record-breaking offense.
Yeah,
did pretty decent last year with Teddy Bridgewater, a couple 1,000-yard receivers. So, he seems like that next young offensive genius type of coach in the McVay, mold that people are waiting on. So the question is, we know he can call offense. That's the first key. But the next key is, can he be a leader of men? And it's really hard to gauge that for such a young coach. The good news is he's learned under some really, really good head coaches, Sean Payton in New Orleans, and now Matt Rule, who's a really good coach. He was in college, and he's proving to be pretty decent again here in the NFL. So he's gotten some good, advice from some of these guys. So he's going to be another one you want to watch out for.
Yeah, I like Joe Brady. Honestly, he's one of my picks. I think that I don't know. I've watched pretty much every NFL game this year so far. I've watched Carolina play. I watched them play in that national game last week, and Sam Darnold looks like a new quarterback. He doesn't look like he's going to light the world on fire, but, I mean, he's playing really, really well. And we'll see how he does now without Christian McCaffrey for the next couple of weeks, but who went out with an injury. But all things are on the table at this point. I think anything's better than what we have at this point in time.
Yeah, it's. I feel like that's going to be a theme the rest of this week. It's going to be
Charles. Who could forget? Oh my God, that was one of the. Honestly, actually, I kind of did forget because I blocked it out. Because all I remember is that Rams game, and all I remember is just wanting to just throw myself out of a window watching that. And then this game now. Oh God, yeah. See, and it's one after another. Look at that, 9 yards of offense in the first half. When this has got to end. Does he get fired this year? There's my question to you guys. We'll end on that. Does he get fired mid-season?
Mid-season,
possibly.
No, give me a yes or no. I want a yes or no from you. No possibly,
yes.
No gray area. Yes?
I think yes, because even if they beat the Lions, I still think they're going to lose out towards the bye week to the rest of their schedule, which means you'll be 2-7, almost certainly out of the playoff race at that point. The offense, I'm sure, won't look much better than it has lately. So, yeah, I think it is absolutely possible the Bears will just decide, okay, we've seen enough. We got to move on. Let's get an interim guy in here, evaluate him, see if he can help Fields, and then we'll go hunting for the next guy.
True.
If you would have asked me this last week or even after week 1, I would have said no. But after this week, I say there's a real chance. And look, there's a possibility that they figure it out. Fields looks better. They look better on Sunday, and there's reason to believe that they can at least take this forward the rest of this week. But look, if there's one thing that we have learned about the McCaskies is that embarrassment is not an option. And that was embarrassing. And there is enough runway here to be embarrassed several more times. I don't know if the Bears play a nationally televised game in this stretch. They do?
They got 3 more, yeah.
In the next, before the bye week, I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah, the Packers. Packers is a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
And so is the Steelers. Steelers is a Monday night game.
Steelers is a Monday night. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I mean, they have plenty of opportunity to get, absolutely just destroyed, and it could be bad. Let's see here. We have...
Yeah, they got 7-15. Steelers is the next one.
America's game of the week against Tampa, and then, the Steelers game. So, yeah, two nationally televised games coming up here. It's going to be bad.
America's game of the week. Buck and Aikman. Can't wait for... Oh, man, Joe, I don't know. There's Justin Fields. He doesn't really look ready. Oh, all right, Troy. Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think there is a possibility. So we'll see. Yeah.
No,
sorry.
Not possibility. Yes or no?
I'll say yes. I'll say yes.
I'm also going to say yes. I think it happens. I think he gets fired mid-season. We see another game like this. There shouldn't be any question that he's not meant for this job. Maybe we'll get to that. My greatest Photoshop job of all time, right there. For those of you who don't know who that is supposed to be Barack Obama. That's from The Last Dance, and when they introduced him as the former Chicago resident instead of the former president of the United States. So we'll get to that. All right, guys. Well, we'll be back at it again later this week, or we'll get things going. We'll throw this one. We'll burn the tape. As Matt Nagy loves to say, as Drew said, we'll burn the tape. We'll get ready for Week 4 against Detroit at home. I might go to that game. I don't know. I might try and lowball some tickets now that they're bad. Maybe I'll get a bird's eye view of
Justin Fields' first start.
Offense. Yeah, I don't know. I think Fields plays. If Nick Foles plays, I'm not even going to watch the game. So I'm serious about that. I'm not even going to watch if Nick Foles plays.
I understand that.
So
look, my last comment before I know we're about to close here. Bears fans, look, hopefully we were able to verbalize some of what you're feeling. Hope is, it's nice to be a fan, I'm sure, and have that hope. And, hopefully the Bears figure it out. And if you guys are all dead set on wanting Matt Nagy fired no matter what, then, enjoy a tough year before hopefully they figure it out next year. And look, it's the cards, you've been dealt as fans, and it sucks. I understand that. Purgatory sucks. So hang in there. We'll do our best to verbalize what you're feeling.
I mentioned no first-round pick next year either. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Ryan Pace.
Not like the Giants are going to make much use of it, man. Like, they suck. They
I just
suck.
wish. Yeah, the New York Football 0-6 to start the year. That's real tough. The Jets, they got shut out yesterday.
It's bad.
The Giants might
They-
have
they
2
are
top
bad.
5 picks. That'll be something to watch.
Yeah, no kidding. So, yeah, well, okay, hopefully it's only up from here. I say that, but Bears hit rock bottom in week 2. They're 1-2 on the season. They lose to the Cleveland Browns. We thank you guys for tuning in. Club Dub Podcast presented by SportsMockery.com. Week 4 against the Lions coming up. It's a must-win. Heads are going to roll if it doesn't. We'll talk about it. See ya. Oh, maybe not.
Wow,
so-
Kevin.
That was
What a
so good.
failure.
That was so good, and it didn't play. Now we'll see you later.